what we're going to work on right now is actually a script to convert more leads. Now, we're going to go through several examples, but at the end of the day, I want you to walk away with something that you can implement today. So one of the most powerful things for us in our business has been introducing video into every aspect of life, from the way that we train agents, from the way that we train our internal staff, from the way that we communicate to generate business, from the way that we convert, and the way that we scale. So I'll give you an example. So over the weekend, we hired two additional team members that are their only responsibility is to be on the phones. And we were able to integrate them into our workflow to where they're actually making calls today. And that was just hiring, interviewing. It was me actually doing the interview. And then they're going through a training yesterday. But since we have everything already documented in video, and in some cases text, because there's an element of scripting, but now we're up and running, fully ready to go. So we've condensed that down to basically hours, right? So that's the same thing that can happen for you. And that's the same thing that we're going to work on today, but it's going to be more for converting the buyers and the sellers. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a script that's going to fit various scenarios. I'm going to kick things off just so we can get the brain going, but I'm going to plant the scene, and then we're going to go into other scenes that are more specific to you. How many of you do open houses? How many of you are open housers? We have Anil, we have Rose, we have some open housers out there. We have some Chris, we have Miss Payne. Awesome. So this is going to apply to you. Whoever feels comfortable, how do you follow up right now? Let's say the open house is done. What is your next step? What happens after that? How do you follow up?
Go
ahead. Anil?
Yeah, this is Anil. So I typically, after the open house, I call all of them individually and thanks for the visit, and get some more insight into what they are actually looking for and add into my KV Core campaign.
I like that. The call, does that go that afternoon? Does that call get made that afternoon, the following day, or the Monday?
Afternoon, before
Awesome.
calling of the day. Yeah, same day, definitely.
How has that worked for you conversion wise, would you say?
Yes, they were really thankful about that, and they were more open to talk in detail about that time instead of at the open house. And I did had conversion from that.
I like that. So one of the things that we want to work on today is a video follow-up to where the call can, of course, still be made, but now we have something that we can leverage that even if they don't pick up, we're able to send them a video, right? Because I guarantee, correct me if I'm wrong, Neil, but not everybody picks up, right?
Absolutely.
What would you say the pickup rate is? 50-50, 60% pickup, 40% don't?
50-50, I will say, especially
50-50.
when I call on the same day for the person who actually visited. Yes, 50-50.
I like that. So for those that don't pick up, what ends up happening? What do you do?
I do 2 or 3 maximum follow-up, but never I did video.
Gotcha. All right. So let's get granular to start work. And thank you for that, by the way. Let's start working on that scenario because we have other scenarios that we want to work. So here the strategy is very simple. The open house is over. We have contact information in hand. What happens next? So what we're sharing with our agents right now is to record a video either in the kitchen before they head out or in the car when they're after they've picked up all of the signs and are ready to go. Because we know that once we get back home, life is going to start happening. We're going to get busy. And then I'll follow up later, bleeds into Sunday, bleeds into Monday, and then in some cases bleeds into not being done. So the script that we're going to be building right now is a very short script, and I want us to construct it together. So what would you say would be, let's call it the first line. What would you say in your video that you're going to record, that you're going to send to your clients? What would you say is something that we can include in our video? Because once we construct this together, you're going to have it right there, so you can just copy and paste it for your needs. What would you say if you're going to make that video as a follow-up?
Should start with the thanks for the visit or the
All right, so thanks. That's a good suggestion. Rose, I saw you unmute.
I was gonna say address them by name so that they know, because when you address somebody by name, it's like you acknowledge them. And I find it more intimate when if somebody called me and I had a conversation with you and you can remind me, oh, okay, you remind me. So it's like you will pay attention to me.
I like that. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Let me share my screen. So we're building this right now. And once we're through it, then I'm just gonna share it with y'all. Are you able to see my screen?
yes.
All right. So we're gonna have a thank you, address, by name. What else should we include?
So do we plan to put a thank you for each individual? So it's not a common video.
You can do a common video if you're pressed for time, but really the secret sauce here is for an individual. But so that's why we have to keep it very, very tight, right? We're not gonna do an entire video.
Got it.
The address of the house so that you get to remind the client where you guys met.
I like that. I like that. Let's do this. Where you met. I'm gonna put the things that are optional, let's say,
Okay.
in this. So essentially the thank you, that can be general, that can be for everybody. The where you met, that can be, it's not going to be as general. You can be specific, but in many cases, since you have a lot of visitors that come through your open house, chances are they're not coming just to your open house, right? So they're coming into various. So an opportunity for us would be to maybe share a little bit about the property that was unique, that might remind them about the home, as opposed to the address or the square footage or anything like that. But I like that regardless. So what else would we include?
If you can, like for each visitor, if you can remember something unique about them, you include it in the message. Something you talk to them about, something like the concern or the reason why if they share why they want to be in the neighborhood. Do they have kids? And if they have children with them, and you remind them, say, hey, I was loved. Well, that would be at the end.
Yeah.
It was lovely to meet them with their lovely family.
Okay. So right now what we're looking at is, let's say 1 sentence, 2 sentence. If we include this, 3 sentence, and everybody can do it differently, of course, but right now we want to make sure that we have something to work with. I don't want this to be too long. So now we need a call to action. What's a good call to action?
An open questions to answer of what they are looking for. We can ask, what is the one thing what is the reason if they decide not to go with that house? You can ask a question about why they decide not to go with that, to not send an offer.
Okay, that's one option. What else would y'all say is a call to action? So there, essentially, what the call to action that you're suggesting there, Rose, is a bit more of information on necessarily more about what their mind is.
Yes.
What other calls to action would you suggest? So remember the scene where we're at. So what we're doing right now is we're creating a script for our follow-up video that we're going to send after somebody came through our open house. What would you, as somebody that's going through an open house and are on the road, and suddenly you get get a text and a video from an agent that you just met, what would you find value in that video? Like what would be in that video that you would find valuable? What would be a good call to action?
So I don't know if this is good because no one's ever responded to my videos, but in the past I have said like, hey, if this is not the house for you, because most people it's not the house for them. I'll say like, hey, if this is not the house for you, I can help you find like your next home, or I can make myself available if you want private tours of another house. And my call to action is like, I'm going to send you my contact information. So I send them mainly my phone number and maybe just like one social media link so that they can click it and learn more about me through social media.
I got one for you, Jaime.
Yes, sir.
Something like, hey, thanks again. If there's any houses that you want to tour this week or next week, let me know. And if you're interested in learning how you can save $5,000 at closing, give me a call. Contact me and I'll educate you on how we can help you save $5,000 at closing. Something to that effect. Because we know that sellers are giving away huge concessions right now.
I like that. So you provide.
So I think that the call to action needs to give them a value. It's almost like a hook at the end too.
Yep.
So I was thinking that USP, right? What's your unique selling proposition of why someone would reach back out to you? Because that's essentially what you're doing at open houses. You're trying to sift through people that don't have an agent already. But if you ask them at the open house, they're already programmed. Yes, we have an agent. It's like furniture shopping. Oh, we're just looking.
Yeah.
So
everybody's just looking.
Everyone's just looking until they buy.
100%. 100%. All right. So I like that a lot. I like all the suggestions. So here we're not going to really get down to the exact science because everyone has a different approach at it. But essentially what we want to construct, again, remember somebody has left our open house. We can wait until Monday to send them an email that's going to go to read never. So it's not going to get addressed. Or we can take an opportunity. It's going to take you 30 minutes max to just riff off these videos and send them out. Right. So remember, generally those visitors that came through, you weren't their first house, and chances are you're not their last house. Right. So they're out on the hunt. So how powerful would it be if we followed up with a video, either making ourselves, asking the questions that Rose mentioned, making ourselves available and providing the contact information as Stephanie suggested, provided the hook of potential savings that Ian suggested. So that's in their text, which has 85% of open rates plus. So that happens on a Saturday. We have an opportunity to reach out to them again on a Sunday. And then we also have another opportunity of reaching out to them again on the Monday that most agents typically do. Right. So right now we're looking, and what we're doing right now is building our follow-up strategy, the script that I'll just copy and paste here. I know it's not perfect. I know it's not something you can just read off of it right now, but I just want to at least give you the cadence. We have the acknowledgement, the reference back to where you're coming from, the address, if you will, sharing something about them, and then you have some calls to action. So that's a rough guesstimate. So for you to rattle off this video, it's going to take you less than 15 seconds, if that. All right. So what other scenario? Well, before we get to the other scenario, what questions do we have on this? Again, what we're doing right now is we're leveraging video in a very, very quick way, but it's going to really magnify what we do because we already have their leads. We need to amplify our conversions now.